Hi everyone, my name is Walker, and I want to share with you today my own sustaining practice that has helped me through the quarantine for the last few weeks. I'm here on my porch right now in the backyard of my house, and I want to share a little bit about the birds that join me and how I find them as a source of connection and inspiration in times like this. And in particular, the thing that's been important to me has been photographing birds. Both my parents are photographers and nature photographers, and I found that holding a camera helps me just be more present with nature. I'm more in my body. It's just more inclined to naturally look for things in the world around me and notice the ways that those things are connected. So people have observed that birds, that after a storm, like a really rainy storm, birds tend to be more active. They're probably scavenging for materials to repair their nests, or they are looking for food that they weren't able to get during the storm. And I've also noticed this as there have been fewer people around during the quarantine. Right, there are just more birds around. You can probably hear them behind me right now. And so, with that in mind, it's just been more obvious to me and more natural for me to feel connected to them, especially in a place like this, in my backyard, but also just when I'm in urban areas, when I'm in places that birds, maybe otherwise would be less likely to go. So, I think a spiritual practice for me as a humanist and in my own personal spirituality, I think of spiritual practices as having kind of three traits. I feel like they should be something that are accessible to everybody, that offer a sense of connection to something greater than yourself, and that offer something of a challenge to yourself, whether it's a challenge of your own sort of body or just something that challenges you as you go on with your day afterwards. I just want to talk a little bit about how all those things I think fit into my experience of being with birds in nature. So something attractive about being in nature, and I've heard of a lot of people finding being with nature as a spiritual practice in the last few weeks, is how accessible it is to everybody, right? And I know that not everyone has sort of like a forest, an idyllic forest to go walk around in. I didn't even always have a backyard where I live in Massachusetts. Often I end up having to find just connections to nature in small ways, just like little plants and things in urban areas, or look for birds in urban areas. I think that something that I like about the experience of noticing birds in particular is how sort of many of them are very used to being with human life, even if they stay far away from us. And so even if you're walking around the street, even if you're walking in a big city, you can still notice the birds around, and notice the things that the birds are doing. And it's those things that the birds are doing, I think, that allow us to witness a shared ecosystem, that reminds us of and connects us in many ways to the ways in which we're all a part of nature, in which we share in this general ecosystem. And birds serve particular roles in that ecosystem, right? They pollinate flowers, even like butterflies and bees do, but they fertilize our soil. They clean my backyard. They pick up all the like trash and sunflower seed casings and things like that are in our backyard. Um, and I feed the birds with the bird feeder that I have in my backyard, things like that. We're all in sort of there's always a sense of connection, right, to how we interact with the animals and creatures that we share nature with. And just watching birds for a few minutes and seeing why maybe are they flying to that different branch, why are they doing these different things, serves as a reminder of that for me. And the challenge, I think, is right there, right? It's the challenge of being present enough, both with myself and with the practice of noticing these things, to internalize them. Taking photographs and holding a camera allows me to be even more present. I'm kind of waiting for the opportunity to get a particular shot of, two birds fighting over a sunflower seed casing or something. But it's also an opportunity to internalize sort of what I'm seeing and just see it in detail, when I'm able to zoom in. So I want to invite you now for about a minute to take a few deep breaths with me and to join me in listening to some of the birds that I've heard and seen since this quarantine began, just here in my own backyard. Okay, so thank you for joining me today. And I want to invite you now to take 2 or 3 minutes out of your day and find somewhere that is comfortable and safe for you. And it might be a porch, it might be down on the street, it might be in the woods somewhere. And just notice the bird calls, look for the birds, and look for reminders of how we are all in one big ecosystem together. And in doing that, I wish you a happy May, a happy day, and take care.